And of course, Dungeon of Doom. Governor Pugsley with his pumpkin head, oh, the coincidence, his head looks like a pumpkin, with his pumpkin head and disgusting dripping mouth, has banned all haunted houses. There is one state in the union, one state, that the prison state. Peter, how are you guys doing? What are your thoughts?
Morning, Dan.
Morning, Dennis.
Good morning.
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 I actually made it awake. this morning. Good thing is I don't have to drive there today. I'm sorry you had to,
It's okay. I'm not bothered.
but get away from the house. Got my agenda set here. All set.
Dennis, are you able to see the message I sent you?
I'm looking for it right now. I saw it pop up.
Okay, good.
I'm trying to find, let's see. Where the heck is that darn thing? I'm on my iPad and I'm not used to the format. It's in a crazy place.
Oops, somebody's phone.
Should be here under more. Chat. Yeah. Oh, okay. I see. Hi, Evan. We'll take good care of it today.
As a person,
Yes.
for an employee based solely on his or her race. And that does not adverse employment action because of
Hi, Frank.
Good morning, Jeanette. How are you?
Morning.
Hi, Frank.
Good morning. I'm just trying to find a suitable background here so nobody has to see my basement.
Looks a lot better than my basement.
Oh, this is a nice one. I'll be outside today. Not
Too
my
cold.
house. Not my house, my kid's house.
I'm at my summer home. It's 43 degrees there this morning.
Oh, and where might that be?
Cary, Illinois.
Oh, very nice. I thought Cary was south of here. Shouldn't it be warmer?
No, it's northwest, next to
Oh, that's
Barrington.
right. That's right. Yeah, along Northwest Highway.
Yeah, right. Crystal Lake's right after
Crystal
us.
Lake, yeah,
Barrington
yeah.
right before.
Yeah, we were up in Lake Geneva. Oh, no, we weren't. Can't say that. We visited a property in Williams Bay.
Mm,
Just drove
Nice.
through it. It didn't get out of the car.
Good morning, Jeanette.
Good morning, Brian.
hope we have a quorum today. Don't look good so far.
Should be okay.
Yeah.
We need 9.
Good morning.
Morning, Ryan.
Hi, Ryan.
Morning, Ryan.
Morning.
Good morning.
I see we're going to see different color planes overhead coming up, huh?
Yeah. Yep.
Southwest there?
Southwest
Southwest. Wow.
coming to
Cool.
O'Hare.
I wonder if they're going to take flights from Midway and bring them here, or if it's just new flights, new destinations.
No flights.
Yeah, good, good. I've heard it's a nice airline. Never flew them.
I prefer United, but I'm a million miler with them. So
That's my airline too. When I fly, we go United.
yeah, Southwest pulled out of Midway. Midway'd have to close. That's the only
Yeah.
major flying out of there now. United pulled out of there. American pulled out. Delta pulled out. Mora disappeared. She went, whoop.
I had to go to the basement. My
husband's on the phone upstairs really loud.
Oh, no. My wife's in her office next to mine and she's on the conference call too, but luckily I have a soundproof door.
I wish I had that.
Yeah, I wonder how the people with the open concept homes feel about having open concept now when there's no doors or walls and they're trying to have a meeting. Good morning, Peter.
Morning.
How are you?
Hey,
Good,
Peter.
good. Hi, Dennis. How's everyone today?
I'm living.
We're good.
Dennis, I liked it when you were outside there. I like that view.
Yeah. It's 43 degrees up here today.
Is it? I haven't been out yet.
I looked out on the river this morning and there was steam coming off.
Oh, no. There you go. Maybe next week some ice, huh?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Good morning, good people.
Morning, good
Morning.
morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Arnie.
Hello, Frank.
Hey, look who's here. It's Ernie.
Hey, Dennis, how are you?
Real good. Let's see. It is 9 o'clock. Do we have a quorum, Jeanette?
Yes, we do.
As I said, it's 9 o'clock. Tuesday, October 13th, and I now call the technical committee meeting to order. Jeanette, could you call a roll?
Arlington Heights,
Here.
Bensonville, City of Chicago 39th Ward,
Here.
41st Ward,
Here.
Des Plaines, Hanover Park, Harwood Heights,
Here.
Itasca,
Here.
Norridge,
Here.
Palatine,
Here.
Park Ridge,
Here.
River Grove,
Here.
Rolling Meadows,
Here.
Schaumburg,
Here.
Wooddale, and School District 59.
Okay, that
We have a
we're
quorum.
looking for approval of minutes to the September 15th ONCC Technical Committee meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
It's been approved. And we will move on to,
Dennis,
our
we need a
discussion.
roll call.
oh, the roll call. I'm sorry. I forgot now that we're doing the roll call. All right, please call the roll call.
Arlington Heights,
Yes.
Bensonville, City of Chicago.
Yes.
City of Chicago 39th Ward,
Yes.
41st Ward,
Yes.
Des Plaines, Hanover Park, Harwood Heights,
Yes.
Itasca,
Yes.
Norridge,
Yes.
Palatine,
Yes.
Park Ridge,
Yes.
River Grove,
Yes.
Rolling Meadows,
Yes.
Schaumburg,
Yes.
Wooddale, and School District 59. Thank you.
Okay, first up is, looks like noise monitor, residential
Yes.
portable. You ready?
Yes, good morning. I'm sorry, I don't have a camera today. For the residential monitor deployments, we have made one new deployment to a homeowner in Elk Grove Village since the last meeting, and we have issued one report. This went to a homeowner in Bensonville. Ryan, can you display the long-term portable report, please? Thank you. This report is for site D, which is in Chicago, Ward 39. It's in North Park Village, and the average aircraft DNL for the month of August was 53.2, which just happens to be the same as the July DNL. Thanks, Ryan. And for the permanent noise monitor update, Ryan, do you have the 12-step process? Thanks. The fields highlighted in red, or the text in red, is the update since the last meeting. So for sites 39 and sites 39 and 46, which are in Chicago Ward 39, and site 40, which is in Chicago Ward 40, we have completed the address assignment. This was done on October 5th. For site 38, which is also in Chicago Ward 39, we ran into a slight issue with the parcel on which we were to locate the monitors. So we are reevaluating this site, and we might have to pick a new site for this location. For the suburban sites that are the relocations in the Plains, site 7, the license agreement was routed for signatures. I heard from the city last week. The city manager signed the agreement, and it was mailed back to the CDA, so I expect to receive that this week. For site 28, which is in Schiller Park, the license agreement was signed on September 16th. And Ryan, can you also show a map of the monitors? I believe Frank Ikes asked for a map showing these new monitors in a context of the entire noise monitor network. So the red dots show the current permanent noise monitors. The green ones are the sites, the new sites that we have confirmed. And then the 3 sites that are in the blue box are also the new sites, but we have not confirmed the location yet. Any questions on the map or anything about the noise monitors? Okay, well, that concludes my report then. Thank you.
Thank you, Valdana. I guess next thing is the municipal portable monitors deployments. Or is that
Yeah, that monitor, it was, we issued a report a couple of months ago, and it's available to be requested. So it's currently not deployed.
Okay, and long-term deployments?
Long-term, we showed a map for site V, and that was a report for August, and the average aircraft DNL was 53.2.
Okay. All right, next would be the Fly Quiet or Fly Quiet Recognition Program.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Ryan.
Chairman Evans had asked that we look into some sort of Fly Quiet recognition program, or some sort of awards program that this committee might be able to start doing. So I'm going to take the opportunity to go over the potential of a recognition program. So this is something the ONCC has done in the past. So I'm going to go over, what what this committee has done in the past as far as giving awards, as well as what some other airports do with their programs, and just kind of have a general discussion about what metrics that maybe we can look at to develop a new recognition program. So the ONCC, as some of you may remember, who've been around long enough, did have an awards program that was started back in 2001 that was created to reward carriers that have exceeded performance for the existing Flight Quiet program. The reward program was divided into two categories. There was a category 1 that included airlines with an average of 5 or more operations during the overnight hours. And then a category 2, which includes airlines with less than 5 operations a night. And the idea there was because we have, it was a little bit unfair when you have an operator that's operating the majority of aircraft overnights, comparing that to an aircraft or an operator that maybe only operates 1 or 2 flights a night. So the thought was to have 2 separate categories to have a better comparison. The recognition program was based on 4 criteria. There was deviation, and the 4 criteria was weighted. Each criteria had its own weighting. 20% went to deviation from the preferential flight tracks. Another 20% went to ground run-up and closure usage, whether they used or did not use the GRE. 40% went to nighttime fleet rating. At the time, this is again early 2001, the airlines were still operating stage 1 and 2 aircraft. They had not fully transitioned over to 3 and 4 aircraft. So this fleet rating really looked at those stage type aircrafts and who was operating more quieter fleets, and awarded those airlines that had a quieter fleet. And then the 4th criteria was participation, whether airlines regularly had representatives attending meetings, responded and or provided information based on correspondence, how quickly they were phasing out louder aircraft, and generally working with the commission. The program, again, was started in 2001, and it was an annual rewards program. And every year there would be a tally of the points based on those 4 criteria. Each criteria was given a point rating, and then you would get a total score. And for instance, here in 2001, American Eagle was the winner in the category 1, and America West was the winner in category 2, with the highest scores in each of those categories. The recognition program went on for several years. I believe the last award was given in 2007. So it's been 13 years since the ONCC has really done anything like this. And Chairman Evans really wanted to take a look and see if maybe this committee, technical committee, this might be something we'd be interested in doing again. So I want to talk about what other airports are doing. There are several airports around the country and the world have their own Flight Quiet programs and award systems for adherence to those Flight Quiet programs. I wanted to highlight 2 of them specifically. The first being Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. Their program, awards program, was established in 2005, and they give 3 different awards. They have a Flight Quiet Bravo Award, which is awarded to the quietest airline among the top 5 carriers. They have the Flight Quiet Award, which is awarded to the quietest airline with at least 1,000 annual operations. And they have the Flight Quiet Regional Airline Award, which is awarded to the regional airline with at least 360 operations a year. And these awards are based on 3 core elements. Again, compliance with their noise abatement procedures. So they have, much like O'Hare, have noise abatement procedures, and there are points awarded for those airlines that comply with the procedures. There's a average airline noise contribution metric. This is based on the sound exposure level at 4 permanent noise monitoring sites around the airport. It's an average, and so it does account for more than one flight, and it translates into points. And the higher points you get, the quieter your noise impact was. So if your noise exposure for the aircraft that you're operating have a lower SEL value, then you get more points. And then ground run-ups. They have, CTAC also has ground run-ups performed on their airfield, and they have regulations as to when those ground run-ups should take place. And airlines that don't follow the run-ups guidelines get points deducted. And again, this is an annual, much like ONCC's award system. This was given out annually to airlines. The other airport that has a good awards program was San Francisco International. Theirs was established in 2003. They have also 3 different awards. One is the quietest overall award, obviously given to the quietest airline. The most improved award is given to an airline with the largest positive change. And the chairman's award is awarded to an airline or stakeholder with that has made a significant positive step in reducing noise. Their program is based on 6 elements. The overall noise quality, which compares airlines not only by the type of fleet they're operating, but also the frequency they're operating. Noise exceedance rating, they've established a single event maximum noise level threshold at their noise monitoring sites. And if an airline aircraft exceeds that rating, they get points deducted. Adherence to their nighttime preferential runways. And then they have some noise abatement procedures for departures and arrivals. 2 of them, there's one gap departure where they score based on how well they follow this departure procedure. This specific one is encourages airlines to fly, take off and fly higher. And so there are specific points that are assigned, and aircraft that are at higher altitudes at those points receive higher scores. And then there's also a shoreline departure and a Foster City arrival. And again, scores are applied to how well the airlines follow those procedures. So wanted to talk now about potentially what the ONCC could either resume doing or at least discuss the possibility of a new recognition program. Our opinion, and Chairman Evans, when we talked about this, agrees that it really should be based on quantifiable metrics. Nothing that's subjective, but something that's based on real data. And we have a lot of that. Again, I come and present the quarterly Flight Quiet reports, and we track a lot of the activity in the overnight hours and adherence to the Flight Quiet program. Specifically, the nighttime preferential flight tracks. Again, you're all familiar with the green, orange, and red. We also discuss the GRE usage, those airlines that are and are not using the GRE. Preferential runway use. We can look at how well airlines are using the assigned runways. The airline's specific fleet, how well, they have modern and quieter aircraft, give some sort of rating based on their fleet, as well as their schedule. And when I say schedule, how are the airlines scheduling those quieter aircraft? Are those aircraft flying more frequently during the day or at the night? Is there some way we can encourage airlines to maybe schedule some of their quieter aircraft during the overnight hours versus some of their louder aircraft? And then the frequency of this program, is this something, if you're interested in, do you want to do this annually or quarterly moving forward? And again, Chairman Evans, or Summers, I'm sorry, wanted to kind of just start the discussion and get the committee's feedback on your thoughts and willingness to restart a recognition program for the ONCC. And that's maybe something we can discuss at, you know, kind of the meetings moving forward. What type of program are you interested in doing, and what are the best metrics to use?
Ryan, excuse me, I think maybe we should put this on the agenda for our November 17th meeting and have discussion on it. Because the year end is coming, it'd be nice, say in January or so, to do any presentations.
I believe Brian Gilligan, you have a question, and his question is, what would be the criteria for preferential flight tracks since the deviations have gone down so much?
Yeah, that's a good point. The deviations have gone down. However, there are still deviations, and we can look at, you know, certain runways that maybe we want to focus on, perhaps 28 right and 22 left specifically, or if we want to look at it as a whole. But that is a good question. You know, although it has improved, there are still deviations, and we can still give kudos to those airlines that do a really good job of following the flight paths.
Dennis, can I weigh in? It's Karen.
No.
So one of the things that I liked about, I don't remember which airport it was, but I also like the idea of maybe awarding points to airlines that engage with the ONCC. I feel like having a positive relationship with the airlines will pay some long-term dividends in terms of understanding what their plans are, making sure they understand kind of what our concerns are, and encouraging them to factor in how their business decisions impact the communities around the airport. And so, you know, again, we'd have to figure out what that looks like, but I do think that there's some benefit in encouraging kind of that active participation with the ONCC. I also, in regards to frequency of award, quarterly for awards seems like a lot, but I also think we could do quarterly reporting with an annual award so that we could share kind of how the airlines are tracking, and maybe encourage them to make some modifications in an attempt to win the awards. But having quarterly awards seems frequent.
There's also another question from Brian. His question is, what is the definition of quiet aircraft fleet, since many airlines have retired louder aircraft?
Yeah, so the big difference between, again, like I had mentioned in 2001, a lot of the airlines were still operating aircraft types that were much louder and older than they are today. A lot of the airline fleets are modernized. So that may not be a good metric. And when we look at it, I mean, we can take a look, and maybe it turns out majority of airlines are, you know, have a more modern fleet, and it might be difficult to really admonish those that have, you know, louder aircraft. However, we can look at how they're using that fleet. You know, are they still have within their fleet louder and quieter aircraft types, and are they operating the quieter aircraft types more during the day or the night?
Peter has a question. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Is the data available to quantify this retroactively, say the first 3 quarters of 2020?
Yes. Yeah, we can look at 2020.
I'd be curious to see who would have won this award this year.
Yeah, it would also, I like the idea too of most improved. And so I think if we can get the 2020 data, maybe it's something we can benchmark and then for 2021 still give out most improved.
Yeah, we can do that. So I think what, we should do is maybe at the next meeting, we talk more about these metrics and maybe have some sample reports based on the metrics and have a kind of more thorough discussion about, because it sounds I'm not hearing anyone say that we shouldn't do this. So it sounds like, this might be something you want to pursue. So the next meeting, maybe we dedicate to more, what the metrics are and, how we should, assign points to each of them.
Ryan, Frank here from 41st Ward.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible to have a corresponding, well, I'm not going to call it an award, it would be an admonishment, your word. It seems like we're offering carrots, but no sticks. There's obviously airlines that are always going to be noisier. Can we give them the stick award? Either figuratively or, with a letter to say, please try to improve your performance?
That's entirely up to this committee. It's up to you whether or not you want to admonish or award. You're free to do both. There are arguments to both sides whether or not that's worthwhile. Sometimes just by awarding, you'll have a list of, who was on top and who was on bottom, and you can kind of admonish those without actually calling them out specifically.
Is there any motivation for anyone to rise to the top and get accolades instead of drop to the bottom?
I think you'd be surprised. Airlines love recognition, and especially they love it from significant community groups like yourself. This organization is very well known and has a lot of weight, and I'm sure any airline would very much appreciate recognition for their contribution to reducing noise. And it may, catch the attention of other airlines that aren't really, maybe concerned about that at O'Hare. I think you'd be surprised at, what airlines might do to try and come out on top.
We used to, years back, I remember we used to, if there was like a blatant overfly a lot by airlines and that, we would send a letter from the ONCC to the airline saying, hey, your pilots are flying, way out of line here, and at least notify them, as I remember, if there was problems. That's probably goes back about 10 years ago, but
this committee has sent specific letters, either for maybe an airline that's operating a very loud aircraft at night frequently. I can think of times where this commission has sent a letter and the airline actually responded and changed their aircraft type. So yeah, I think we're an award program, as well as follow up with airlines that aren't doing that great of a job, have valid merits.
Well, that's great. And I think as long as we're collating data, we could use the full spectrum of the data that we get. And maybe we can get one or two airlines to improve their performance in the evening. Dennis, I wasn't around here 10 years ago, but that's, that's a great move. I think we need to be, I think we need to take an active role in doing what we can. That's what we're here for. Not just, I don't disagree with passing out awards. That's a good idea. But I think Dennis's, memory of sending out letters of admonishment, I think that's a great idea too.
We also have another idea from Brian Gilligan, and he says you can have airlines submit a nomination by informing ONCC what they have done for O'Hare and its neighbors in addition to the metrics we are tracking. For example, there may be a pilot education program which we are aware of.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And, I know I've brought this up, Jeanette, as well, that I think it would be a good idea to have reach out to the airlines and have them come speak to this committee on their operating procedures, especially out of O'Hare, and how their operating procedures contribute to noise reduction. They may be doing things that you're not aware of on a regular basis. That would be good to know. And they would be happy to come talk to you.
I know a lot of you are, fairly new to the organization and this committee. I'd like to recognize that Brian Gilligan, for many years, had Jeanette's position as our director and is very, very educated as to what goes on with the organization. Brian left us to become a professor at several universities, and just want to acknowledge and let people know Brian is not talking off the top of his head. He's very, very in tune as to what we're doing here. Thank you. Back to you, Chair, or to you, Ryan.
Well, like I said, I think like you requested, this continues to be an agenda item for us to discuss, and maybe we will have at least a baseline for 2020 that we could use, and possibly work towards an award for 2021 or some sort of program.
Another thing to consider, this is Brian from Norwich, is how do we let the general public know about these awards? We can give them a plaque, but the flying public won't know about it. If we give them, and again, I don't know, I know it's money, but a billboard or some public recognition so that people know that this airline is doing the best, and the residents in the neighborhoods and the flying public would know that. And that might help that airline do even better because they're complying with our requirements.
Brian, good morning. It's Aaron Frame with the CDA. That's a good point. In the past, the Fly Quiet Awards were recognized at a public meeting of the ONCC, and a lot of times the airlines would come and receive that award, and then the ONCC would memorialize that in your newsletter. So I found one this morning on the ONCC website. I'll go ahead and paste the link so that all of you can see that last, most recent recognition.
But again, everybody doesn't read the letter or the newsletter. Everybody doesn't go online. If there's some way publicly on TV or billboards that people would see this, it might help.
Kevin Spitz from Arlington Heights. I think that publicizing it with newspapers and press releases would be picked up. I think that would be news in Chicago to be picked up, and hopefully that would do the trick. I don't know what the cost is for a billboard, if that would be cost effective.
I know what River Grove does is I send them the newsletters that we have every month, and they actually publish our newsletter within the village newsletter, and I believe on the village website. And a lot of people in our little village will see me on the street and say, Dennis, now what was this about so-and-so? And so people are actually reading it from my village. So I know they see it. So maybe it's an idea for other villages to put it in their newsletter.
All good ideas and more to discuss.
There's also one from Elias saying, following Brian's theme, maybe we can provide points in our metrics if airlines speak or participate at our ONCC meetings.
Right, that was a feature of the original awards program that the ONCC gave out for participation was criteria that was looked at and given points for airlines that had representatives come and speak to the commission or provided information per request of the ONCC or participated in discussions or gave without being prompted, heads up to ONCC, hey, guess what, we're retiring this aircraft and making our fleet quieter. So things like that were all kind of looked at and given points towards. The only issue with that is it starts to get a bit subjective, and that's where the metric is becomes difficult to really quantify. So participation is something we can look at as a metric, but again, just a caution that it may start to get a little bit subjective when we start awarding points for participation.
Trustee Giuseppe also mentioned, what about a banner along the driveway of the airport entrance? So there's plenty of ideas out there.
Okay, Mr. Chair, should we move on to item C?
Yes, please do.
Aaron, did you want to take this one? Is Aaron still on the call?
Yes, I was on mute. Ryan, we're doing airfield changes? Yep. Okay. Good morning, everyone. So just a heads up, let me count the weeks real quick so that we can tell you 1, 2, 3, new runway opens in 3 weeks. So let me walk you through this latest airfield diagram. A couple things. So number one, you can see the new runway 9 center, 27 center highlighted in pink. There are 4 what we call high-speed taxiways highlighted in yellow. Those are known as Echo 1, 2, 3, and 4. All of those are, Ryan, scroll up for me just a little bit. This was the pilot charting cycle active or will be active on November 5th, 3 weeks and 2 days away. Also on the North Airfield, they're doing some additional work on the taxiways. You can see that with respect to Yankee Yankee and Yankee Yankee 2. That gets you in and out of that hangar area. And then on the South Airfield, just west of the terminal core, they're doing some additional taxiway work. Ryan, scroll down because that old crosswind runway, which used to be called 14 right, 32 left, and then it was changed to 1533. You can see that is pretty much a third of what it used to be. You've got, Ryan, zoom in 1 or 2 clicks so that they can see that. Again, the north end of that was cut off for runway 9 center and for the 9 right extension that you can see outlined in white. The south end of it was cut off for runway 10 center. So all that's left of that old runway is known as taxiway Sierra Sierra. So you can see that's only the length of the terminal core itself. It's been a taxiway for probably about 2-3 years now, but that's all that's left of that. And again, that was all in accordance with the OMP. That's something we've been working on steadily over the past 15 years, and pretty soon that'll come to fruition. The other thing that's notable on this, not with respect to the pink runway 9 center, but the one south of that, which is 9 right, 27 left, that is the existing runway that is parallel in some part with the Kennedy Expressway. But on the west side of the airport, the area outlined in white, you can see that that taxiway network getting in and out of that runway is already 2/3 complete. That pavement is poured. So they'll take a break for the winter, and then 9 right, 27 left is scheduled to be closed in February of next year. That's part of our talking points with respect to runway utilization. They'll close that from February all the way through the end of the year in order to finish that tie-in from the taxiway network. And Ryan, can you show where the runway extension itself is, the wider section? That section right there where Ryan is pointing with his mouse, that is the extended runway. So they'll close that so they can tie in and do it safely. And then that'll reopen. Right now it's scheduled for the end of 2021. So there's a lot going on. But this poster is available on the CDA webpage. We have reactivated a webpage that we call Pilot Awareness. And of course, this is one of those tools that we use, or a variation of it. And Jeanette has this poster, as well as the official Pilot Awareness 9 Center poster. So please let us know if you have any questions. Are there any questions about this 56-day pilot charting poster? Okay, as I said, 3 weeks, 2 days, it's about 23 days until that runway becomes active. Mr. Chairman, should we go on to item 4D?
Please do.
Okay.
Please do.
I am going to show you the FAQs. We've talked about this. This was a document that the CDA and Linderman Brown prepared, and the FAA took a look to make sure that we were as accurate as possible. So I want to go ahead and share that with you. So let's find that. Okay, so this document is on the CDA webpage. It's on the ONCC webpage. So I'm not going to go through all, I think it's 15 or 15 questions, but I am going to hit some of them. And please feel free to stop me after we go through each Q&A. The reason why this is important is to help all of you with your messaging with your residents, right? We know that these are complicated topics, and we purposefully wanted to share some text with you because the talking points can be detailed. We also talk often in this committee where different people learn in different ways. Some people are verbal, and this document lends itself to that, seeing words and being able to process that and come back to it. Some people are very data driven and they want to see charts and tables. And then we've got people that are also very visually impacted, and we try to work very hard on the graphics to correlate to all this. So I'm just going to run you through most of these Q&A, but not all. So please let me know if you have a question. First question is, when will the new runway open? That's opening on Thursday, November 5th. This is 11,245 feet long, 200 feet wide. And this is called runway 9 Center, 27 Center. I'm going to skip over 2 and 3 because it really goes back to the origin of the OMP. But in a nutshell, for those new people, Q2 and Q3 really discuss the history of how did we get here. The city announced the OMP in 2001, so it was announced 19 years ago. The environmental analysis was completed in 2005 and reevaluated in 2015. So these 2 paragraphs give you all of that history in about a third of a page. And that's here. And please feel free to ask me or Jeanette with any questions you have. These links are still active. The OMP is still very much available for viewing on the FAA webpage. And so before we publish this, we made sure that all of the links that we are providing are in fact active links. If you do find a link that is not working, please let me or Jeanette know, and we will either fix the CDA or the ONCC website, or we'll let the FAA know if it's one of their web pages. Let's jump down to Q4. Where is the new runway in relation to O'Hare surroundings? So it's on the north airfield, approximately 1,600 feet north. And that's 0.3 miles. How will the new runway be utilized? Mostly as an arrival runway in all weather and wind conditions, and also as a departure runway when operationally necessary. So let's talk about that. It's very important that all of you make sure that you tell the homeowners it can be used all the time, depending on weather, wind, and what's going on the airfield. We want to manage everybody's expectations. Yes, we're going to go into Q6 as to when it's going to be used most of the time. But again, if other runways are closed, there is a possibility and a high likelihood that 9 Center, 27 Center will be used at those other times of the day. So that means mostly as an arrival runway, but also as a departure runway when operationally necessary. And so let's go ahead into Q6 so that we can talk about when is that going to happen. Okay, so when this runway opens in November, the use in November is going to be different than the use next year. And obviously the use will be different after the completion of the ONP. So without getting into too many details, we've tried to be very concise to convey to everyone in plain English how it will be used for the most part in the near term. So let's go through that. The runway will initially be used for simultaneous dual parallel approaches, meaning 2 runways landing at the same time, and later be used for simultaneous triple parallel approaches during all weather conditions during the daytime. So again, as you know, in 2013, we really shifted to west flow and east flow. This runway has always been considered for a lot of arrival use, and it will function somewhat similarly to the way 10 Center does on the south airfield. The difference is what time of day we're talking about. So when demand warrants it, sometimes the airfield will use 2 runways, and other times it will be used for 3 arrival runways, as it was before the pandemic. So be aware of that. And that's important because traffic that was occurring on 9 right, 27 left in some fashion will shift to the north to 9 Center, 27 Center, both in west flow and east flow. Okay, the last part of this is the new runway will also be used when operationally necessary at night during and after completion of the IFQ in January 2021. So remember, the IFQ ends at the end of January. In February, 9 right, 27 left will be closed. We've had conversations about what is a long runway. Just because it is not a preferred runway under Fly Quiet does not mean that it will not be used at night. So again, when it's operationally necessary, it can be and may be used at night. All right, Q7. What aircraft types will use Runway 9 Center? Runway 9 Center will be an Airplane Design Group 6 runway. It will be able to accommodate all aircraft that fly today, including the Boeing 747-8 and Airbus A380. There are 2 runways at O'Hare that are larger in width, and those are 9 Center and 27 Center, and that's because of the extra wingspan for these larger aircraft. Again, the fact that this is going to be an Airplane Design Group 6 runway has been in the plans for OMP for many years. And that's intentional. That's not accidental. Is this the last runway project associated with the O'Hare Modernization Program? Runway 9 Center is the last of the new runways that will open as part of the OMP. Existing 9 Ride is undergoing an extension of 3,293 feet that will continue into next year. Runway 9 right, 27 left will have a total length of 11,260 when its extension is complete in December 2021. So again, when we talked about the dimensions of 9 Center, it will be 11,245. When we get to 9 right, it'll be just a few feet longer, 11,260. And both of those, of course, will be longer than runway 10 center, 28 center on the south airfield. All right, let's keep going. So I'm going to hit a few of these lightly because you have all talked about what is fly quiet and how does it affect it. There is this, I think you all know very well, in that this talks about what is the existing fly quiet. Remember that the IFQ ends in January. All of you on the ONCC are working hard to work on the new fly quiet program for a future year. So because IFQ was approved for a set time and that time will run out in January, we'll go back to regular fly quiet, although we all acknowledge that the fly quiet program needs to be updated. So this helps your residents because, again, what's happening in November and December and January when we're still in the IFQ will be slightly different than what's going to happen after January when IFQ is completed and we go back to regular fly quiet. All right. If I live north or south of the new runway, why am I hearing aircraft noise? Remember, there are many variables that would increase the noise levels around your home, depending on the aircraft fleet mix, your home's proximity, weather, altitude, and other factors. A typical noise footprint for any individual aircraft utilizing O'Hare covers an area on the ground between 2 and 49 square miles, depending on the specific aircraft. Remember, 1 or 2 meetings ago, we updated for you the aircraft noise comparison chart. Ryan went through that. That's the chart where it shows you the outline of the different kinds of aircraft, and we sort that in 2 different ways. We sort that by loudest to quietest, and we also sort that as to most frequent to least frequently used. Here we have a quick refresher. What is a noise contour? And that's leading into what is the 65 DNL? Is there a permanent noise monitor located to capture noise events? The answer is yes. We have 36. We are currently working this fall to install more. Remember from your noise monitor fact sheets that those noise monitors pick up all noise within 1.5 to 3 mile radius from each noise monitor. And then we conclude with just sound insulation. Does my home qualify for sound insulation? If you're inside the noise contour or touching a block that touches the noise contour, the answer is yes. We have completed the enrollment phase for phase 19. So if that's still on your mind, please contact me or Jeanette right away because we're trying to finalize those numbers. Is there anything I can do to alleviate on my own the noise in my home? Yes, we have a sound insulating your home handbook. Those are some home improvement tips ranging from very simple to complicated, like changing out your doors and windows, which is normally what we do in our program. And we want to make that booklet available for you. It is on our webpage. And I believe the ONCC webpage as well. And then just to consolidate all the different references for you, I'm going to go through these very quickly just to jog your memory. The city's noise complaint hotline is how you can register a noise complaint by phone. That's a 1-800 number if you need it. If you live in the city of Chicago, you just call 311. If you're calling about eligibility for the RSIP, call this phone number. This is the Great Lakes FAA regional noise line. We have different web pages for the FAA and the OMP. This is the Noise Commission webpage, and then we've got the City of Chicago webpage where we have some additional information. And again, here is the property locator. This will take you to the new relaunched property locator on the CDA webpage. Mr. Chairman, that completes the FAQs document. Again, the CDA felt like it was really important to review that for everyone. We do want this to be a primary tool for you to help answer questions with respect to the new runway, how it might be used, the noise impacts, and any sound insulation questions. This is a starting point for all of you to use with your residents. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Aaron. I think that this, of course, will be on the CDA website.
Yes. And
Okay.
as a matter of fact, let me go ahead and show you where that is. I'm going to switch screens real quick. If I can, I'm not as good at Teams as I am on Zoom. So let me stop. And then I'm going to reshare, if I can figure it out. So, Chairman, right here, when you go to the CDA webpage, you have a little bit of new text. Can you see that? Not yet.
No.
All right, let me. How about now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So when you go to flychicago.com, this is the main webpage for the CDA. If you scroll to the bottom and just click on O'Hare Noise Management, this text right here, Mr. Chairman, is what we've added just to help people. So that we have all of the many fact sheets, you know, reports, all that kind of stuff over here that you can navigate on the left-hand toolbar. We didn't want people to have to look for it very long, so we wanted to put it front and center. Normally, this is pretty much it as an introductory page. We've added this here, and honestly, we've added our FAQs, but also just as critical, and we mentioned this in the full commission meeting a few weeks ago, is the video from the FAA, and that offers information on how the new runway will be used. I highly recommend that you encourage people to look at that video. It's very well done. It's 7 minutes long, and I found it helpful. So very easy to find the FAQs, and if you just want us to email you a PDF, please let Jeanette or me know.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'd appreciate the having it mailed to me. So
Yes, Jeanette, can you send that out to Dennis?
Yes. We also have it on the ONCC website.
okay. All right. I guess any other questions?
Yes, Frank here for Aaron. Aaron, do you see 27C and L ever being used simultaneously for arrivals?
I don't, Frank. That isn't how it was predicted to be used and modeled. It's very similar to 10 left and 28 right. Air traffic likes to have one runway for departures and arrivals. So as far as I know, there are no plans to do so. It was not modeled that way, and as a result, all sound insulation and the noise contour was not modeled that way accordingly. So I believe the answer is no.
Okay, no, I was just asking, you know, like FAA rules or guidelines, would they use anything that close, you know, two runways that close for simultaneous arrivals?
I believe the answer is no, and a good example is even on the south airfield for runways 10 center and 10 right, as a result of spacing requirements, you remember that the planes on 10 right on the south runway come in at a slight offset. And so I don't believe that they would plan to use them at the same time. And even if they did, there would probably be additional rules that kick in.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Aaron? Then we'll move on to updates of the impacts due to COVID-19 pandemic.
Okay, so we have our standing agenda item of updating all of you on where we're at with impacts, specifically at O'Hare and Midway due to the COVID-19 pandemic. We have updated passenger volumes. We've updated this through this past weekend. As you can see on the far right here with Columbus Day weekend, we saw 39% below passenger demand levels than where we were at this time in 2019. Again, the red line is 2019 travelers. The yellow line is 2020. So we're still well below where we were in 2019. But what you can see from the graph is that we did kind of have a bit of a return of demand levels through the summer that has leveled off quite a bit. I was expecting actually this to drop off more than it did once we got into the fall, but it looks like demand is at least growing slightly, but I wouldn't expect this to increase dramatically. I think it'll be kind of a level off slow growth through the fall. But we'll continue to track and provide updates throughout the year. Operation levels at O'Hare, 2019 versus 2020. This graph is updated through September. As you can see, 49% below operation levels in 2019. So we did see that peak in August, and then a bit of a reduction as we head into the fall months. And similar story at Midway, updated through September 2020, 41% reduction compared to 2019. Again, we peaked with the summer travel months, and then a dip down as we head into the fall. And then we've updated our percent in scheduled flights for our top US airlines through November. So this is based on their November schedules. As you can see to the far right, our biggest carriers, United and American, are still showing almost 50% reduction in their schedules compared to 2019. And then some of the other carriers in here as well, Southwest, who earlier in the year had a bit more optimistic schedule. They have started to follow suit with American United and are showing over 40% reduction in scheduled flights through November. And then we have our dedicated passenger and cargo operations. Again, on the left, we have dedicated passenger traffic at O'Hare operations per day. You can see that increase that we've seen in the summer months. This is updated through August of 2020. And on the right, you'll see dedicated cargo, significant increase on those operations throughout the pandemic. We did kind of peak in June, but we've seen some continued operation increases for dedicated cargo through the summer months. And again, those cargo operations are, based on O'Hare's ability to move needed cargo through the airport, as well as the airlines transitioning some of their fleets to handle more cargo than passengers. And we still see fleet mix impacts. Airlines are continuing to retire older, take the opportunity while the pandemic has resulted in aircraft being grounded to retire more of the older outdated aircraft such as the Boeing 757 and 767s. And I believe the last slide here is one we always show. There has been many shocks to the aviation industry over the decades, but the industry always recovers. It's just when it comes to COVID-19, it's a matter of when that recovery will happen. And again, it's too early to say exactly when we may see operation levels that we saw in 2019, but it will be several years at this point before operations return. And that is our update for October.
Thank you, Ryan. Any questions for Ryan on this? Okay, we will move along here to the next ONCC meeting, committee meeting, technical committee meeting, sorry about that. It's November 17th, 2020, 9 a.m. Location, Zoom again. Getting used to this. Nice to sit at home and not have to travel. Is there any comments from the members? Oh, glad to hear that. Is there any questions from the audience?
Yes, Chair. Dan Dwyer.
I figured you'd be there, Dan.
Thank you, Dennis.
Okay.
A follow-up on the permanent noise monitors, at least the 4 remaining from 2015. It seems like it's unlikely any of those will be commissioned by the runway opening. The question is, are those still on track to be finished in 2020?
Hey, Dan, it's Aaron. Vildana or Ryan, can we pull up the tracking sheet? I think, Dan, we, with 3 weeks to go, I don't think we're going to be installed. At this point, we're trying to get these installed November, December. We've still got a fair amount of work to do, as you can see from the tracking sheet. Ryan, can you pull that up? So the good news is we have, for about half of them, half of the remaining, we've got addresses figured out. And we're going to go ahead and proceed with the contractor to get quotes, authorized work, and do permits. This table doesn't really show the long lead between sort of steps 2, 3, and 4, and 5. And specifically, we have to engage a contractor. Vildana and I have been working on that. Vildana's been working with the construction staff to get that going. We're almost, I think, ready with some of them. I think the suburban monitors are probably a little bit farther along in terms of relocating than the newer ones. And we're at that point now where we need to check in with the construction team pretty much every week, just to make sure that we're still on pace. I think the short answer is we'll be able to finish some of those by the end of the year. That's the goal.
Okay. Well, and thank you for keeping this on the agenda. I think that's key to wrapping this up. So I appreciate
it. Yeah, we agree. And we will be presenting this each month until we're done, whenever that is. So thank you for checking in.
All right. Thank you very much. That's all.
Okay. Any other questions from the audience? I will now ask for a motion to adjourn.
To adjourn by Arlington Heights.
Second by Norwich.
All right, moved and seconded. Jeanette, please call the roll, and may I remind you that not only are we going to do the roll call for adjournment, we also will do it that we understand the Zoom rules or audio conferencing, video conferencing for Zoom meetings, which would ask for yeses on both. Please proceed, Jeanette.
Arlington Heights,
Yes.
Bensonville,
Yes and yes.
City of Chicago 39th Ward,
Yes, yes.
Hang on one second. I'm at a Zoom
41st
meeting.
Ward,
Yes.
Harvard Heights,
Yes.
Itasca,
Yes.
Norwich,
Yes and yes.
Palatine,
Yes and yes.
Park Ridge,
Yes and yes.
River Grove,
Yes and yes.
Rolling Meadows,
Yes and yes.
Yes
Schaumburg,
and yes.
and School District 59. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone. It's been a long time since I ran a meeting, so thanks for putting up with me today. And Evan, I know you're listening. I hope we did a good job for you. Thank you.
You did great, Dennis. Thank you.
Oh, that's Evan.
Thank you, Dennis. Have a good day.
All right, bye.
Bye,
you.
everybody.